Welcome to Sovereign Mamas, the podcast sanctuary for visionary women who are building lives, businesses, and legacies in alignment with their feminine power. I'm your host, Julia Jerg, intuitive business coach, mama of two, and systems strategist for solo-led entrepreneurs. Here, we honor both your sacred role as a mama and your wild vision as a changemaker. Expect soul-aligned strategy, raw storytelling, behind the scenes, and powerful conversations that support you in scaling your business without sacrifice. If you're done choosing between success and sovereignty, you're home. Let's begin. Welcome to the Sovereign Mamas podcast. And I am today with a really special guest. I don't even know how to introduce you, Alara. I put lipstick on today just because I feel like this is going to be a super special episode, juicy, and I can't wait to ask you all the questions. So first of all, thank you for being here, for taking the time to coming on. Hi.
Julia, I love that you put on lipstick for this.
Yeah.
Yum. I love it so much.
I will read your bio so that that everyone is in the picture of who you are and what you do, and then we'll get started. Um, you are the Oracle of Wealth, a spiritual fire starter for multi, 6, and 7-figure visionaries ready to reclaim the rapture of their arousal and embody inexhaustible wealth. She's the host of the Wealth Embodied podcast, where she dismantles performative business and activates the leaders of a new wealth paradigm through voice, ritual, and real-time transmission. So this is a juicy bio and a very interesting topic. Let's talk about it because when we look at motherhood, and this is a podcast for moms, but for mompreneurs, we often, I find, when we embark on this journey of becoming mothers, this one area of our lives falls short. And that then sometimes leads to the most unexpected turns in our lives where we cannot really understand. Before motherhood, I was this sexual being. I was all like always turned on, and like our partners really get to know us from a very different angle. So let's talk about that and how you have in your own life and motherhood journey. How have you experienced the change from becoming a mother, and how have you maybe also reconnected again to your sexuality?
Beautiful question, very deep and rich. Yeah, so I am now 44 and I had my boys when I was 33. So my boys are 10 and 12. And I mean, I definitely remember initially, of course, newborns, I did not want to have sex. I did not feel sexy. My boys both stayed with me for the first year of their life at home. And you're just kind of consumed, aren't you, by children, by babies. And I find that a lot of times, especially for women, we're deeply empathic, deeply,
Mm.
deeply empathic. Even those who may not see themselves as empathic, we are. And when we are taking care of little ones and there's so much energy and emotion and care, nurture that's going in, we really desire and quite frankly need a lot of time just completely on our own. So if we're around our children all the time and then our partners come home, the last thing most of us, not always, I mean, of course, I had times where I felt sexually lit and wanted to engage, but overall, my sexual drive definitely took a plummet. Uh, I didn't feel like engaging with him. It was like, what are you talking about? I've had like somebody latch to my boob all day. I've been, like giving so much. I
Give
just
me a
want
break.
my own time. Like, leave me alone.
Mm.
Um, but I also had a very interesting experience because I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening right after my boys were born, where I was driving my car down the road. I was going to work with the horses I used to work with. I was a physical therapist for horses.
Oh,
And
nice.
out of the blue, higher self said Om 3 times. And I meditated, I worked with my energy, but I didn't practice oming. I knew what it was, but I didn't do it. And I was like, okay. So I ohmed Om, 3 times. And at the end of the third one, energy shot through my body and I went into full body orgasm, which I had never experienced in my car driving down the road
Okay. While driving.
while driving. Yeah. So I pulled over and like let myself be in this like woo space. And I didn't know what was happening to me. Like I said, I'd never experienced a full body orgasm. I was actually highly sexual and yet sexually oppressed simultaneously. So this was like a really like crazy sensation. And then I was on cloud nine for the rest of the day. The horses loved it. They were just like soaking up the energy that was coming through me. And I still didn't know what had happened to me. So, long story short, the next 6 months of my life was all over the place because Kundalini Shakti, as she awakens, and most people don't have a spontaneous awakening like I did. It's very like, it's like fire shot through your body, and she like burns away and activates and does all of this stuff. So, all of my suppressed emotion, basically, of my entire life, came rip roaring out.
Wow.
And one minute would be crying on the floor. The next minute I'd be laughing hysterically. The next minute I'd be screaming with rage. And I was like, oh my God, am I going crazy? And I would ask higher self, am I going crazy? And the only message I got was breathe and allow. And so I did for 6 months. And then this book landed in my lap called Kundalini Awakening. And I learned the first chapter was about spontaneous Kundalini awakenings. And my point to that was, what happened was I realized that even though I'd been highly sexual my whole life, I had actually been sexually oppressed. I was molested by my grandfather in the early years and molested again by a close friend of the family, and had a lot of issues in school, just had a lot of issues with my sexual energy. I had just learned to shut it down. And so this awakened it, but not necessarily like, oh, now I'm all lit and sexual. It awoke the shame that I carried. It awoke the oppression that all women carry. It awoke
Mhm.
deep layers of unworthiness and, not liking my body and like literal numbness in my yoni. And so for the first time in my life, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm like shut down. And it
Mm.
took me years of coming back into my body and learning how to work with my erotic current, learning how to embody my yoni, have a relationship to my womb, reconnect to the feminine power within me to not just have those full body orgasms on my own whenever I want now, but also learn how to use this beautiful energy of creation for life, for business. And I use it for literally everything now, definitely wealth.
Wow. That's, yeah, that's such an interesting story. And and so when you had that, so what was your first reaction? Did you share this with your partner, or was that like for you, for your own spiritual awakening? Like how was that?
Yeah, I shared it with my partner at the time, who was my husband. We're no longer together.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I shared it with him. He didn't understand. I mean, I
Hmm.
didn't really understand, right? So can't
Right.
expect him to understand. Um, and you know, he wasn't. I love him to death. We have a very good relationship.
Okay.
But he's not the kind of man who really comes at the body and like really loves on you. And he was the kind of man who, there'd be nothing all day long, and then we get to bed, and he's like, now he wants something, and I'm like, I want to be warmed up, and he like didn't understand that kind of stuff. The partner that I have now, when we met, he's the complete opposite. And through our passion and my willingness to go there, we opened up even deeper layers of sexual suppression that I held in my body.
Hmm. And when you say now you're using this in business, I know you also um you work with women. And so how does that look like? How do you, when someone comes to you and says, I want to work with you, what, like, talk us through that?
Yes. So, I mean, it's really about understanding first and foremost that true sexual or true feminine power has not been on our planet for over 5,000 years. So,
Hmm.
even women who have not been sexually suppressed, understanding our true feminine power is not something that we've understood, had. We've had no no lineages, none of our mothers, our grandmothers, none of them held that for themselves.
Mm,
When we speak of, femininity and what's the word, like feminism, that's not even what feminine power is. Feminine power is deeply primordial. It's very much in our body, and it is the Shakti, it is the erotic current that moves through us. So it's all about reconnecting to that for women. And we do that through breath, we do that through focus, meditation, movement, using our voices, screaming, groaning, moaning, whatever needs to happen. Reconnecting to who are you, right? In the woman who owns that power in herself, that has no more shame, no more shame at all, right?
mm,
No more shame. Shame is gone because shame does not serve us and shame is not love. We transmute unworthiness into worth and recognizing your worth and your value simply as you are. You don't have to do all these things. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get all the things done. There's so many times upstairs I have loads of laundry, because I just don't care. What I care about is my pleasure and my aliveness and the things that turn me on in my life. And so there's a lot of times I have things that I'm just like, it'll get done. And guess what? It always gets done. It
mm,
always gets done. But these beliefs that we have that our value is based on a certain way of being, particularly mothers, we have this so much, so much pressure is placed on being perfect and doing all the things and getting it all right. And none of that really serves our authenticity and what we're really here to create. So we move all of that performance belief structures, unworthiness, shame out, and you sink in and you learn to really connect to your womb, connect to these, and it's wisdom, it's internal. You used the word intuition as we were first connecting. It's intuition, it's wisdom, it's this deep knowing of exactly what to do in the moment. And that's all that matters because your energy is so magnetic that you can attract everything to you. You don't have to go chase it. You don't have to exhaust yourself. You don't have to hustle. That's not the way that the feminine power works. We've been in a masculine driven society. That's been beautiful. It's been serving us. There's nothing negative there, but we're shifting.
mm. I love that. I love that. And I do truly see more and more women coming out of, the suppressed state of this, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but the more you are in it and seeing other women also rising up, not only in the way they're leading their lives, but their businesses, their families, they're reclaiming their power, they're focusing on, oh no, this is important to me, and so it matters. Like these things are happening in the most expansive and beautiful ways. And yes, I mean, I have chosen over the past few years always to go places where I am more connected to these type of women. Like right now we moved to Bali, and I just feel like when I was in Thailand making the decision coming here, I used this word the phrase, and I didn't even know why, but deep down I knew why. I was like thinking, I'm moving here because of my son, right? So he has special needs, and I need to do something because of education and things. But that was just the logical things, and I felt that my soul had a higher plan, a deeper knowing that there is a place for me being more connected with the goddess frequency, with women who are doing the work and who are like, and honest to God, we're only 1 month in, and it's been already mind-blowing in the way that connections are so much deeper, doors open. I'm I'm feeling all the connections to my roots and my um, shamanic wisdom. And so let's talk about maybe like also when was the moment in your life before that car story that you already shared? Have you ever felt like you're special?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I was a little girl, I definitely felt
Mm.
different and special. There was two things that I thought for sure I could do, which I still believe I can do. We're just in a third density reality, so I can't do it here. But I was very insistent at a young age, this is like around 6 and before, that I could go into dream state, go to a candy store, buy a candy, bring it back, put it on my bedside table in my dream state, and I could wake up and make it show up in the physical reality. I did that many times. It didn't work. But I was like, what? No, this works. Like, what? Why isn't this working? And then I also thought and knew that I could move things telekinesis with my mind. And it also
Mhm.
didn't work. But again, it was like, no, this definitely works. I know it.
Uh, I do remember understanding something when I was a little girl that every time something happened, I had seen it before.
Mm,
And for me, this was absolutely normal. Like events, people, um, wish, like I would have a wish, and if I could see it through and see it already happening, I knew this is going to happen. And it was so normal until, you grow up and then you get like looked at or people say, no, this is not how it works. I was like, huh? Yeah, it does. And it still is my way of like I do this still. I need to like I've some really normal example, but when I wanted to be beachfront, um I wanted to have that house and I felt the house. I could sense the energy. I saw images and then it happened to be our house and all these types of things. But then people look at you as if you're like a witch, woo woo, right? And it's only in circles where you can like where others feel the same, do the same, know the same, where you then can talk about it freely. And I think this is what I love about what you do is helping women release shame. A lot of times it's not only in the area of sexuality, but a lot of times like this topic of shame is such a roadblock. It's such a dimmer of our light. It's holding us back in ways we don't even understand until we release that. Um, yeah. I love this so much. And so now when you think of your children, how are they experiencing you as a mom? Are they like, is this something that you discuss? Are they fully involved in um like this topic already? Like how do you navigate this with 10 and 12, you said?
hmm
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very open parent. I don't necessarily talk about things purposefully. I just let things arise and then I talk about them.
Mhm.
So I've never been the kind of parent personally, and there's no judgment here, that has kept things from my children. Even long before they could understand, I would speak to them basically like they were adults and just talk to them fully. And so all of my life, the way that I live is they're very, they know who I am and how I live and how I create. And they love it because they can tell that when they're at mom, because we are separate, their dad and I am separate,
Mhm.
divorced. And when they're at mom's house, they just get to be them because that's what we do here. We're just ourselves. And however that comes out, and there's no judgment and there's no holding back and there's no lying and there's no pretending. It just is. And they absolutely love it. They always come over here and they're 10, 12, they're still children and
Yeah.
they'll act really silly and I'm always laughing and they're just like, "Well, this is where we get to do this, Mom. This is where we get to act childish." And I'm like, I'm so happy that
Mm.
you feel that you can do that here because you should
Oh.
still be acting childish. I still act childish.
Oh
We should
yeah.
all act childish. It's fun. That child energy, be in the child energy. So, Yeah. And, and we talk about energy and we talk about meditation and we talk about everything.
Hmm. My boys are 6 and 8, and so when I sit down with them sometimes, and my 8-year-old, he likes to have conversations, and he always says, "I love talking to you, Mama," and 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 I just feel they are so open, like, and it's so fun having conversations with little humans because you really get to like l- not it's not even leading, it's more like seeing what is their truth and playing with that and going with it, and letting, okay, yeah, sure. And I just recently found something that works really well because my like obviously kids dream big and they want always something. And I have like my upbringing was my dad had as a default answer, he would always say no first. And I knew
Mm.
if I kept going, most of the time it turned into okay. So that was me like getting my will anyways, but it was always hard work. It was always me like, ah. And so um I'm so like aware of that, and I don't want my boys to grow up like that. And so still I catch myself oftentimes where it's just like, first of all, I was like, don't do the dad thing, right? And so now I have found something whenever they come and say, oh, can we have this and this? And I say, yeah, put it on the Christmas list. And so this has been so healing for me, for them, because now they can have dreams. There's something to look forward to. There's something like we can, talk about things without that feeling of, oh no, we can't right now. Oh no, this is too expensive. Oh no, this is too whatever, outrageous. And so I just enjoy having children for that side of my own healing as well. And and I love that you have your boys in your house and let them be. And I'm truly believing that whatever you do and bring home and do in your business, they pick up, and that's going to be part of their journeys, and that's going to be so helpful and supportive. I love it. One of the
Yeah,
things,
absolutely.
one of the things you said um, in the form that you filled out, there was something that stood out, and you said, letting pleasure be your guide to inexhaustible wealth. That is something that a lot of people understand conceptually, that it's connected. What's your take on that? How do you say this is goes hand in hand?
So again, the feminine is she's wealth, she's power. We often think of the masculine being power, but it's not. It's the feminine essence that's within us all, men included, right? Just like we have the masculine essence within us. The
Mhm.
feminine is the energy of power and of wealth, and she is inexhaustible, right? Like if we look at Mother Gaia, if we look at our universe, these are representations of that abundance, that overflow that we all feel, right? We all know like that exists,
Mhm.
real.
Mhm.
And so the reason that we don't experience it is because, for one, we don't have that connection to our own feminine power and to the mother. And understanding, again, kind of similar to what I said before, we've been taught to perform. We've been taught that I have to do this in order to get. I
Mhm.
have to do, and then I will get money. I have to produce, and then I will get money. I have to get clients, and then I will get money. So that is a performance mindset, and it's all based on external factors. And no matter what, if you are placing any of your power externally of yourself, you are misunderstanding what power is, because all of it is internal, all of it. And so when we learn, and it takes, I want to say this because this is not easy. This has been generation after generation, thousands and thousands of years that
Mhm.
we have learned to perform. Okay. So when I speak these things, people are like, oh, that sounds great. And then they go to put them into practice, and it's like a whole nother deal because it takes consistency. We have to rewire everything that we know to be true. But what we're doing is we're learning that where your pleasure is, where your aliveness is, what turns you on, those are natural indicators of your creative life force energy, of that wisdom within you that says, I want to do that. Oh my gosh, let's create that. Right. So in business, for women, this is like, what offer do you want to bring forward? What kind of people do you want to work with? What is the message, right? That when you speak it, you light up, you get turned on. That's where we want to really connect you, because pleasure is not just a thing that feels good in our body. It is the way that creative life force energy, AKA wealth, moves through us.
Mm.
So it's the way to keep your finger on that flow of wealth, that pulse of inexhaustible flow that we know to be true is through our pleasure. So when you're doing things that you don't want to do, when you're doing things out of obligation, when you're doing things to get things, you are stepping away from that natural flow of wealth within you. And you're saying yes to this whole conditioning that we've been given that you have to get it from outside of yourself, and it's never fulfilling. And it always feels like, especially in business, business is a very masculine energy. It is so against what opposite, not against as in, but anyways, opposite of what I teach women to do in business, because we are here to embody the feminine way. So when we are in our pleasure, for one, we are very magnetic. Let's be real, right? When a woman has had wonderful sex, she glows. Like she walks through the store and people are feeling her because she is strutting, she is moving, all of her energy is radiating from her.
Mm.
And then also, our entire field is expanded. We are open to receive. So, opportunities, potentials that are here waiting for us are available for us to actually see them because we're open and expanded rather than contracted in shame and like obligation. And I'm supposed to be in this list I have to do and all these things I have to get done. That just completely contracts you down and you're not actually in your receivership, right?
Mm.
And then the flow of that frequency and understanding how to play with that in your body and how to bring that into your business is what allows you to just connect to where the wealth is, because it's always here. It's always here, no matter what the recession or the fucking economy is doing, has nothing to do with how much access to money you actually have. So if you want to be recession proof, if you want to have a budding business regardless of what's occurring in politics, which yes please, right? So we don't ever know what's happening there.
Exactly.
Uh, this is what you want to do is you want to learn how to embody your pleasure with regards to your business. Where is the pleasure now, right? What is lighting me up currently? And then you have to give yourself permission to play in that pleasure and let go of the mind and the obligation and the control of,
Mm.
because immediately what happens is we go, okay, this thing is lighting me up. And then our mind comes in and goes, well, this is how we have to do it. This is, and all of a sudden we've taken all the pleasure out of it and we're back into performance.
Mm. And what is one practical advice for our listeners who probably have also little ones around? Would you say, like, what's one step they can take anyways, even if they're in the thicks of motherhood right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can always connect to yourself. You can always breathe down into your womb. You can always, just literally hold your hands over your womb and hold your awareness there and start breathing and start bringing compassion towards yourself. Start bringing love towards yourself. Forgive yourself. You can start to feel, because yes, I'm speaking to pleasure and erotic current, erotic energy, but this isn't about like sex. Like I can
Mm.
light myself up right now talking. I can light myself up with one boy on the other side and they don't think I'm being sexual. Like it's
Mm.
not about the act of sex. It's an energy within you, right? So it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. That's the beauty of these energies is they're available to you. But just taking your awareness down to your womb, starting to breathe there and giving yourself just a couple of breaths. Connect
Mm.
there. feel your womb. Thank her for all that she's done for you. She's birthed your beautiful babies, right?
Mhm.
And then carry on with your day. And then when you have another moment, you just breathe down in that womb. Thank you. I love you. And carry on with your day. Those little moments, they add up, and you start to create this connection, and you start to hear her again. Because trust me, she has a lot to say.
I love that. And that is maybe also in your, you have a freebie you said that you want to give to our listeners. What can they do with that?
Is that the Wealth Kink quiz?
That's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is delicious. So this shows you how you personally, we have 5
Hmm.
blueprints that show you how you work with wealth. So some people are energetic and you're going to connect with wealth a lot through sunlight and being out in nature and things that really soothe you energetically. Other people are dynamics. They really connect to wealth with having like small projects. Like they have a project, they work on the project, they complete the project. So all of us connect to wealth differently. And so that wealth kink helps you recognize which one you are so that, again, you can have an easier time working with wealth and allowing wealth into your life.
Nice. Nice. That's cool. We'll link this definitely in the show notes so that everyone can grab this. And I love asking my guests, what is your definition? What is for you, what does it mean, the word sovereignty when it comes to women, motherhood, and this umbrella of our brand here?
To me, that's really found in the moment when we say yes to what feels good and no to what not. And that's where we find serenity all the time.
Mm, nice. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all these nuggets and for having us like let us have a glimpse into how you work and you like shining the light on everyone you're touching. And I think this is incredible. I love the fact that, you know, we get to be ourselves, and this show is always so enriching for myself as well because the guests that are coming on, everyone has their unique gifts and bring them on here. And I just love listening and I just love asking all these questions. So thank you so much for taking the time. And I hope to everyone who's been listening today that they just, you know, just feel and let this thing that we discussed today, it's often really only about stopping, pausing, breathing, and reconnecting with ourselves. So thanks for this reminder, Alara, and thank you everyone for being here. We shall see and hear each other on the next show.